Hi, welcome back to Crimson Glass on YouTube, and we are finally finishing our vlog series on writing Fool Me Twice. Even though I finished writing it in December, I finished editing it in June, and I finished posting it like 3 weeks ago. So I guess, better late than never. Hi. So this is just a kind of a wrap-up vlog. This is one of the few series where we literally vlogged from discovery all the way through and the last until editing, which was in February. And anybody who is crazy enough to actually watch these videos, you have been following my editing on the blog because I have been writing about the editing process. And the editing process for Fool Me Twice kind of went off the rails in lots of different ways that had zero to do with the actual story. It had the unfortunate, luck to be written in a pandemic year during a pandemic where I kept thinking I had things under control and then I didn't. Luckily for me, the story survived it. And while I think there are places where it could be tightened up and there are definitely some typos I missed, I'm actually on the whole happy about it. So the purpose of today's vlog is just to summarize what I think I've learned from writing this particular novel, what I hope to take into the next project, and talk a little bit about the generalities of just planning a book in a series. This was book 1. We still have to do book 2 and 3. So first, let's talk about what I feel like I learned. The same thing that I always seem to learn under these circumstances is that I should be really nice to myself. I should set realistic expectations. I should be comfortable with the fact that sometimes I am going to miss those expectations, and to just also relax because it's not that serious. So I finished writing the first draft in December, and I was really hoping that I wasn't going to have to do a lot of work. And then ended up rewriting every single flashback. And the flashbacks probably took the longest time. So I think what I have learned is that I will not leave. An alpha draft is not finished until all of the planned scenes are done. And at the time I said it was finished, those planned scenes had not been written and I hadn't really figured them out. And I think I would have saved myself a lot of grief if I had figured them all out and written at least a first draft of them before I went into editing and posting. I think I definitely learned a valuable lesson is that a first draft is not done until all of your planned thoughts are out on the page. That being said, rewriting the flashbacks was not a mistake. It was just the way I set up the timing. That was definitely the problem. The second thing that I have learned is that I can't post until the edited draft is done, and I cannot release a date until the edited draft is done. I write my drafts in 3 stages. We do an alpha draft, which is the first messy version, and then we do a beta draft, which is, that first version cleaned up with the first round of edits and, additions or cuts done. And until that draft is done, I cannot tell you when something's going to be out because then once I release a date, I tend to feel very married to it. And then I start to feel really stressed out about it. And there's just no point. It'll be out when it's ready. And it's not ready until the beta draft is done, because with the beta draft being done, a posting draft does not take that long because it's one more read through to clean up typos. It's one more read through to tighten up dialogue. It is not, there are no big, huge things happening in a posting in that third round of edits. So I am definitely going to just make sure that I do that. And then the third thing I learned is just to kind of a little nitty gritty thing is I'm going to run a quick spell check when I'm done a scene, because there were a lot of spelling errors that just frustrated me when I was editing. And I think my life would just be easier if the spelling errors were taken care of, because I type really fast. So sometimes I mess up. I misspell Elizabeth's name all the time. And that really shouldn't happen since it's one of the names I write most of my life. So yeah, that's kind of definitely the big things I want to take from this project into the next one. One is just to remember to keep setting realistic expectations. 2 is to be better prepared for dates. No, I should have written these down in advance. Number 1 is an alpha draft. The first draft is not finished until the planned draft is done. Number 2, I can't release a date, a posting date, a publication date until that beta draft is done. And number 3, spell check. Simple, right? So that's definitely the big things we've taken. For what was kind of interesting about finishing up book 1 and kind of getting ready for book 2 at the same time is you have to make sure that there's a linkage, that there is a continuation. So you have to know a little bit about the rest of the series. I don't really, you can always tell when somebody has written a book or done a movie or done something and they hadn't anticipated a sequel because they haven't always set themselves up correctly. And sometimes when they don't set themselves up, they go back and they retcon or they change things or they make mistakes. And like mistakes are going to happen. I was rereading Mad World and I made some mistakes that I definitely want to clean up in a final edit of the whole series when I do a final ebook release. But one of the things I very much knew from the beginning is when I sat down to plan the trilogy is I wanted to know the big movements. I wanted to know what are the big things that I'm going to do in each book that's going to push the trilogy to book 3. And I sat down with an idea of that and I was like, okay, and what are the book narratives? Because of course a trilogy that is connected by one narrative, each book has to have its own internal thing that gets you, okay, because you have to have an ending point. You don't want to just end on a cliffhanger. I mean, you can end on a cliffhanger, but there has to be some sort of narrative closure. So what was my narrative closure in book 1? And my narrative closure was, we started this with twin brothers who did not know they were twin brothers at the beginning. And they didn't want to be twins. They didn't want to be brothers. And by the end, I think we have closure on that. I think Jason and Drew are both in places where they feel comfortable. I think Drew's relationship with Sam has obviously fallen apart while Jason has restarted a relationship with Elizabeth. So I'm not just talking about romantically. I'm like, literally, they are as close. They're almost like brothers at the very end. They're not super close, but there is there's a camaraderie there that wasn't there in the beginning of the story. So that was the narrative closure for book 1. Book 2 has to have its own kind of narrative force. Book 3 is easy because book 3 is the finale. So that is what we've been working towards the whole time. So book 2's narrative has to be something that connects to book 1, sets up book 3, but still can survive on its own. Because what if there's 6 months to a year between book 2 and book 3? I think it has to be able to survive on its own. So I needed to really know and have a decent idea of what I wanted to do in book 2 so that I could appropriately set out the breadcrumbs in book 1. And luckily for me is the storyline I had in thought for Fool Me Twice was always kind of what I planned to do with with book 2. So Franco, we're going to deal with Franco in book 2. He is not going to be a factor in book 3. And that's the only spoiler you're going to get. I mean, I'm going to deal with the larger ensemble we've set up. We're going to do the teens. We're going to do Sonny and Carly because I think I've definitely set up some Michael, Nell, and Carly stuff. I know a lot of you guys want to see Carly pay, and I am here for you. We're going to do that. So that's kind of where I'm leaving you with this vlog in a very good place. I think this was a lot of fun to plan and do a vlog series on because I like starting it from the beginning and walking you guys through my process. And I liked having something to check in on in the craziness. I haven't rewatched any of this in months, so I have no idea. I don't really remember anything. I don't remember what I've said in the past because I never rewatch them, but I kind of thought maybe I should have just to kind of finish up, but it's fine. So that's what I have for you today. Before we go, I do want to show off the website because I have this cool new StreamYard that I'm using. So give me 1 second as the cat walks past, and I'm going to set it up. All right. I should have done this to begin with, but I keep saying Miss McHugh because every time I'm sharing a screen, I'm at school. All right. So let me share my window. Hold on 1 second. Okay. And I'm going to do it that way. I want it bigger, so let's do it that way. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And now I'm going to go over the website just a little bit in case you haven't really gone through it. So Ricochet, which is book 1, is complete. The top part here is just your kind of introduction, but I want to make sure you guys are aware over here. We have our inspiration and dedication. This is just why did I write the story and who did I dedicate it to? And I dedicate it to Jason Morgan fans because I think we've been burned the last 4 years. And then the timeline and setting is extensive. I went through and I rewrote. I kind of everything's. If you stopped watching when Jason left, you should be okay. And if there's any small changes I've made, so that's what that is. And then we also have media. So you can see the vlog. You can also see my playlist for the soundtrack. So that's over here. So that is the sound. That's the playlist for the vlog. And then I have a soundtrack that's right here. And I haven't converted it to a full YouTube playlist. So here is the Spotify playlist if you're interested. So all of the songs. All right. And then I have a section for characters. One of the things I want to work on between the books is filling out character descriptions. And I also want to update one of the pictures because they have recasted Nicholas Cassadine. Finally. Because what do I have here? I'm trying to find my Cassadines. Where'd they go? Do I even have Nicholas on here? I think I left him off. Yeah, Nicholas isn't even on. I mean, Spencer isn't even on here. So I'm not even sure Nicholas is on here. Yeah, because I made this before I actually finished writing it. So I didn't realize that Nicholas was going to play the part that he ended up playing. So I just want to go over the website a little bit, just kind of show it off a little bit. Oh, and I think there is one more thing. Yeah, so book 1 has the synopsis here. This is where you're going to get the ebook when it's ready. And then here are the chapters. And then there's a section for a review. So if you've read the whole thing and you don't want to leave a review on the last one, you can leave a review here as well for the whole series if you want. It's okay if you don't have to. I just want to make sure, like, I don't think with the new format, I don't think I'd ever, like, shown off the website. All right, so that is the last entry in the Fool Me Twice vlog series. We will be back when I get started on book 2. I'm assuming that if all things go the way I expect them to, we'll be back here in November and December working on Discovery for book 2. So we'll see what we see. All right, I will see you guys later. Bye.